Oh, wow.
Saw it twice, so I was like, oh my god.
That was just weird.
I always used to see a light coming up,
Yeah.
like a headlight, but there was nobody there.
Oh, it's just disappeared.
Hello everybody, welcome to Truth Proof. Hope you've all had a great weekend and I hope you're going to enjoy what we're going to share with you over the course of this next hour, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, we don't know. But yeah, it's been good so far, so let's jump into it with our guest tonight. Who I first spoke to this man. I know we're going to get him on, but I'll just tell you before we get him on that, I don't know, early this year, late last year, an absolutely incredible story that he's got to share, that he's carried with him for a lot of years. So I'm looking forward to listening to it myself again. So I hope you guys are. And when people talk about cryptids and the potential that these things are here, well, just listen to what this man's got to share with us, because there's Steve and there's a whole load more that are all probably sat in silence, not sharing their accounts. And I reckon when people hear stories like Steve's, it might give them encouragement to come forward. So let's just have a look before we pull Steve on, who we've got in chat, and let's see. Oh, nearly 200 people here, so thank you for support, guys. Robin them. Let's have a look. Steve O, Andrew, Susan Wiseman. I think Linny's in. Mrs. Linny, Mia Girl. Lee's doing moderating tonight, and I've seen Alison in. Great to see you, Alison. Dragonborn. Gemma won't be doing moderating. Gemma's waiting for an ambulance, so that's all I'll say on that one. She's not very well at the moment. Barry Davison, Michael Turnbull, Stargazer Eternal, Kim King, Ben, Deb Shaw. Good to see you, Deb. Andrew Wild, Bill 49s. Oh, not 999. So PJA and Darwin Robot. Tony Dixon, good to see you, Tony. Good to meet up with you the other day, mate. That was a surprise. Jane, Lee, well, we've done Lee Roscoe, so I'm going to shut up. Let's bring our guest in, Steve, and let's hear what he's got to share with us. And questions in capitals, please, guys. Oh, I'm doing it again, but thank you, Zen, for the donation. And there were another one, and names slipped past me, but appreciated. Thank you. Steve, welcome.
Evening, Paul. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, oh, it's great to see you, mate. And
You
so
too.
pleased, yeah, so pleased when you got in touch a few weeks ago, and we suggested talking about this. And it sounds silly, doesn't it? What year was it that you saw this thing?
1994.
1994. So come on,
Yeah.
do the math, people. How many years ago is that? It's
31 years.
31. Isn't it strange, Steve? Just before you came on, you just went, it's weird how a 10 to 15 second visual of something has had such an impact.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when you began the chat, you mentioned that, it was probably back end of last year into this year that I actually got in touch. Can you believe it was actually June 2024 that I got in touch?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I know. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and you've actually been to the place where I had the experience as well. So we'll probably touch on that a little bit later on.
Oh yeah, I'd like to. I know myself and Les. You've got to bring Les into this one,
Absolutely.
because Les came as well on 2 occasions. They're a bit of a funny story on first occasion, weren't they?
Yes, I'll let you have that one.
Yeah, I'll have to own up to it. Right, guys, before we get into Steve's story, and we have got time to tell it, so don't be impatient with us. I'd arranged to go and see Steve and told Les where we were going, and met Les at the sort of destination where we were going to set off and drive to meet Steve. Gets there, pulls into this car park. I rang Steve. I says, we're 15 minutes early, Steve. And, I said, but we're here. I'm just letting you know. And he went, it's next week, Paul.
Just having me tea.
Yeah, they were having his tea. Now, that weren't Les's fault. It were all my fault, 100%. So Yeah, I had to hold my hands up. But then we came through to see you and
Yeah.
to gauge your reaction when you actually went there. Because I don't think you'd actually walked that road since, had you?
No, not at all. No, it's the first time.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave it to you to just do it at your own pace. I might break in if I see some questions, as long as it
please.
doesn't spoil your thread. And
No.
so take us back then to 1994.
Yeah, it was July 1994. I was a mobile DJ at the time, doing all the great venues like Hibblestow Club in Lincolnshire. But joking aside, it was always a really, really good night because the village had, the disco once every month, every 6 weeks, and the whole village turned out for it. And it was always a good night. It was always one, not the most glamorous of venues, but, it was for a DJ, it was brilliant. And there was me and my mate there on the night. It was a normal night. We packed up, finished about 11:30ish, packed the gear in his van, and we had a drink at the end of the night. And set off. I set off probably just before midnight, Saturday night into the Sunday morning. And my friend he went the opposite way because he was out Lincoln way, and I was more heading to Scunthorpe. And for people who kind of like got Google Maps, Hibblestow, Scorby, and Brigg are in North Lincolnshire, and it's quite rural. And I pulled out onto the main road, which takes you from Scorby to Hibblestow. And it was a normal night. It was very, 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 very warm. Obviously, with it being July, radio was on, windows were down in the car, and I was looking forward to probably going home or probably nipping into Chippy or Kebab House on the way home because I was absolutely, I was quite hungry. And as you head out of Scorby to Hibblestow, there's like a little flyover, and that was me pootling along, and maybe a little Nova, and I went over the flyover, and about 10 to 15 seconds later, my main beam caught something in the road, probably about 100 yards up the road, and bloody hell! I thought somebody had been hit or run over as I approached. Bloody hell! To find somewhere because it was the days before mobile phone, and you're thinking, I need to find a house or somewhere because someone's been hit, and whatever was in the road stood up, and it was picking something up off the road. My main beams caught it head on, and I'm talking literally 30, 40 feet away. It was that close, and as I approached it, it was that vivid. And this thing, person, whatever you like to call it, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Covered in fur or hair, top to bottom, covered in fur. It was picking, I would imagine, roadkill up off the road. And people go on about the American Bigfoot of being 8-9 foot tall. This was probably a good 6.5, maybe 7 foot at a push tall.
Yeah.
But the bulk was, I mean, I'm a big lad now, but if you imagine probably me and a bit more, I always said that the bulk was much like a bodybuilder or a weightlifter or a shot putter, just massive up, the muscles and the neck, and whatever it was turned as I approached it. My main beams were still on it, and it took 2 steps and it went down into the brush and out to my right hand side. Now, because it was summer, there was kind of like, I would imagine it was kind of like grass seed or dust actually coming off the hair or the fur in my beams. And as it went across and I went past it in my car, I could still see it in my vision at the side and in my wing mirror, and my red light was reflecting off its face. And I always said that the face had, I couldn't see any ears, but the face had like obviously my lights were on it, my brake lights on the back lights. The face had like a silver sheen to the face. But the actual back of the head, I couldn't see the ears, but the back of the head was more kind of like thick fur with matted like grass or straw in the back.
Yeah.
Like I said, I couldn't see any ears, but the actual I could see the brow, and I could see the side of the head, this side.
Yeah.
And the nose seemed higher and the mouth seemed lower than what ours is.
Yeah.
So as it dropped down into the brush, I heard what I thought was like as it went down, every step seemed to have like a sound, like it made a sound. So whether
Did you have windows down, Steve?
yes, absolutely, yeah.
You said it was warm, didn't you? You said it was a warm night.
Oh yeah. It was really, really warm and muggy, and it made I describe it as more a cross between a whooping sound mixed with like a growl.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to describe, and this, from actually seeing it in my car to it going into the brush, into the hedge, literally was 12 or 15 seconds. And as I looked, it disappeared, obviously through the hedge and into the field. And joking aside, that's my kebab out the window.
Yeah.
So I went.
What it fear then that you felt, Steve, or what, just amazement?
It was a mixture of everything, because you think, I thought that somebody had been hit, and that was my main concern, and that was still kind of like fresh in my head as it was. But when I kind of like saw it disappear, I say it, I don't know what it was. I don't know, and it was a case of definitely wouldn't say amazement. It was a case of, what was that? And because of the actual muscle mass, it would have been a case of fear as well.
It struck me when we spoke that what you impressed upon myself and Les when we spoke to you, and I know we spoke quite a few times, the sheer width of it. You said you'd never seen anything as wide in your life.
Broad. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you went to the road with me, and it took literally 2 steps and it was down. I mean, until we went back, Paul, I never knew there was like the drop. And when we walked up to where I saw it, I didn't know there was a gap. There was a gap in the hedge, and as you know, that's what kind of like got me at the time. I thought that I was half kind of like vindicated with what I saw, because I wasn't expecting to be in a 30-foot hedge, a gap in the exact spot where I'd seen it. Yeah,
because where you took us, there's a big gap, and we know we're going back to 1994, and we're now in 24-25, as in when we spoke.
Yeah.
But those edges were quite old. They were hawthorn. We know how they're mature and gnarly, and there's a big gap there.
Yeah.
Do you know? So it had gone in a crossing place as such. Without breaking your train of thought here, what would you say it was, fur or hair?
I don't know. With it being in my beams of the car, as it moved from obviously my left to my right and down, as it moved, it was leaving dust behind it.
Dust,
like grass seed or dust. And obviously down the back there was the matted straw or grass in the back. And as it was heading to the woods on the right hand side. Well, I don't know whether it was fur or hair. I mean, there was fur or hair on its legs.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What's interesting as well, you talk about, you could hear with each footstep that thud.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, obviously when it's on road, you think, well, you might be able to hear it, but when it goes onto soft grass, because there's grass there, isn't there? And then a narrow path. because there's some weight to it, like almost an unusual amount of weight when you think about. I could imagine leading a horse along there on road. You'd hear the clapping of the hooves, but leading a horse along that grass, which is a substantial weight, I don't think you'd hear a thud as it walked.
But it was the initial drop, from the road to the verge to the path, and then into the brush.
It's fascinating, and it still is. It still is, and it sort of brought back a little bit of emotion for you because you realise how close it was, and you'd got your window down, and you realise, obviously, it didn't harm you, and it didn't even give you any eye contact, but potentially it could have been even a much more frightening situation. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, going back there with you and Les, I'm a pretty tough cookie. I have to be. I have been, but it did kind of like affect me when I went back with you guys. Yeah, I think half because I thought what I saw was real and it was justified. That I thought that the thoroughfare from the hedge was quite possibly still being used.
Yeah, that's what you said. I remember.
Yeah.
What's fascinating though, we were literally, what would you say, 5 to 10 minutes from not a massively populated area, but an area where it's populated. There's people.
Yeah, I mean, Hibblestow's literally a minute and a half away.
Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, it's a little village. It's quite rural, and Scorby as well. It's a little village, and that was literally 30, 40 seconds away. But like you say, there was obviously it wasn't as populated in '94 than what it is now, but it's a main road.
Yeah.
Why would I see this on a main road?
And what I like about this, Steve, I really do, because honestly, Steve, I believe your story. There's no trick questions from me when I'm throwing these out. We're near a populated area. People are reporting, I wouldn't say exactly what you've seen, but similar things that just shouldn't exist. The description of what you've got is not real, but you've seen it. And we're getting these reports from East Yorkshire. So what do you think they are after all these years? 1994, we know you can't say, put a stamp on it and say that's what it was, but what in your heart, what do you feel it was?
To this day, I still don't know. But obviously I've sat on this for 24 years, 28 years.
Yeah.
I only told my wife about it in 3 years ago in 2022. And 3 years down the line, I only kind of like told people about it because obviously there was no internet back then, and it was a vested interest of more for like library, going to the library and looking at books of British history and strange things that have happened in Britain through the centuries, really. And finding out that these creatures, people, men, families, whatever you like to call them, have been seen through the centuries.
Yeah.
But when I did more research, obviously on the internet and looking at people's experiences on YouTube, there's so many people, hopefully genuine, I would hope so, that have seen something similar to what I saw in the same area.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to the cemetery. There's a lot of people who've seen a black shape moving in Scorby Cemetery. There's the lady who saw the creature on the A15, which is literally 5 minutes away from where I had my sighting.
What year was that one, Steve? Do you know?
I think it was around about 2017 or 2019.
Right.
Lady travelling on a Saturday afternoon, who saw something similar on the A15, which is the main road from Scunthorpe Brig to Lincoln.
Yeah.
And then there was the photo of the creature in Bradley Woods near Grimsby, and then there was the deer legs that were found ripped from the carcass, just outside of Brig on the way to Humberside Airport at Kirmington, where I think of the guy Lee, had seen these two deer legs just laid on the road, complete with bones, flesh, and sinew that's been literally just ripped from a carcass.
As I suppose, I mean, I'm not saying that we can't really say that's responsible for it, though, can we?
No, not at all. But
it's unusual, and it's brilliant that you're getting these other reports coming through. And I dare say, there's going to be more. Well, we know there are. There's going to be a lot more people out there. That's why I love it when I get one from Danes Dyke or, where the places I look into more sort of prolifically, because you get somebody like yourself sat there talking sincerely about what you've seen. And it's going to give somebody the confidence to step forward and said, you know what, because you've said you sat there for 28 years, but just about said nothing. And just out of interest, what reaction from your wife when you told her?
She was like, right, okay, tell me. It was just one of those nights where I need to tell you something. When you have those nights, and I told her, and she's like, right, okay. And I think she knew from the way I told it and my reaction and still how I feel about it, Paul. It is, I'm telling the truth. Now, as you know, I had major brain surgery last year, so I don't intend on wasting my time or anybody else's time telling this story if it wasn't true, or like I say, from 12 or 15 seconds of my life that I to this day cannot explain. I mean, hopefully, people have said, "Oh, it's somebody in a ghillie suit." It was 1994. I was a townie. Never heard of a ghillie suit. And when I've looked at ghillie suits, it wasn't the same. The ghillie suits aren't the same as what I saw. No,
I'm totally on the same page as you there. There's a question here, and I think I know the answer to it, but Mark's put this up here. Mark Spark. Hello, Paul, Steve. Did you see any light orbs or any different light phenomena? I think you'd have said if you did, but
no, nothing at all. No, it was just visual, and obviously the only audio that I heard, apart from obviously the radio or the tape that it was on, was just kind of like the whoop and the grunt as it headed off through into the grass.
Everything suggests that, because I know you don't necessarily want to just say it was a Bigfoot, what people would describe as that. But the sound, you hear people talking about the whooping sound, but you described it, I think, more like a caveman or. I called him the Brig. It was kind of the name, was kind of like stuck as the Brig Bogman. A bit, right? Obviously, it's near Brig, and it headed down into where the bog is at the side. But I would describe it, as I always have done, as what I saw, hand on heart, was a living, breathing creature. Where in my view, my lights and my car, I could see breath from the top of the nose and the mouth. Yeah, it's incredible. We've got a place close to where I live. Next time you come through to area, we'll meet up and I'll run you to Flixton.
Yeah,
we'll have a look.
Please. Yeah,
because there's a Whitegate Hill there, and a guy contacted me probably early 2024. I'm just seeing our Laura in here, and good to see you, Laura. And Blue Shift Rob and loads of other people, but I'm not going to get through names. But 2024, and this guy said that he was driving from Filey towards Whitegate Hill, and this thing doesn't sound unlike what you're describing. Was stood at the side of the road. It was still at first, and he thought he was shocked. He didn't know what he was looking at. He couldn't take it in. He said it looked like it had got all matted fur and twigs and I don't want to say straw, but like really, really scruffy looking mud and caked up all. And as his car hit it with headlights and he got close to it, it set off running. I've told the story a few times, and it were running outside of his car and then went into edge side. You think that were picking something up off road, so maybe it was pure chance that you saw it. But in some instances, particularly the Flixton ones, we've got more than one report of this thing being on side at road or jumping into road near Whitegate Hill. It's almost like it wants to be seen.
Yeah,
but I don't think you felt that, did you?
Not at all. I thought that, looking back, I thought that I'd interrupted whatever it was picking up from the road. or whatever, whatever it was doing, and that's why it disappeared. I don't think it wanted to be seen at that time. Absolutely not.
No. Okay. I've got a question here. Are we okay for a few questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Give us some questions in capitals, please. Steve, do you think it was the Lincolnshire dogman seen since the 1600s? No, well, it doesn't sound like it, Steve. Having the head of a bull terrier and believes it has an aversion to vinegar. I think we might be looking at some kind of folk tale there, Steve. Stephen, I'm talking about it.
No, it was, I've seen the videos, of people describing and sketches of dog men and stuff like that, and it's something that I wouldn't dispel. But
No.
from what I saw, it was more, like you say, caveman or wild man, rather than it being a dog man as such.
Yeah.
It's interesting, yeah.
Do you think? Do you actually think that these things are probably existing somewhere in the area, or do you think it's some kind of, I don't know, parallel existence, and I don't know, for whatever reason the conditions were perfect and it can slip through into our reality?
I've never believed in anything like that. I mean,
No?
other people do, and I completely respect anybody's views of whatever, whether it being their religion and their beliefs as regards to paranormal. But what I saw was flesh and blood and breathing, and
Yeah, okay.
I didn't see any kind of like light anomalies or anything. Not that I can remember anyway. I think I'd have remembered that, but no, nothing at all. It was just visual and audio.
It's just so incredible, isn't it? And you think to yourself, well, where could it be? Do you know that? Don't discount what you saw. You know that. You know where I'm coming from. But you just kind of, my mind boggles. Where could it be? Where could something so big reside without being detected?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at the area, and there's a lot of kind of like abandoned tunnels, railway tunnels as well, especially when they were shipping steel, from Immingham and from Brig into Scunthorpe, and people say, "Oh, you look on the ground." Well, I've said, "Why don't you look up into the trees?"
Mm.
Can these things be surviving in the trees? But then you think, what could they be living off? Are they living off the land? But to have that kind of bulk, surely it would need more sustenance than berries and stuff like that. Surely it would need meat or something like that.
They consume a lot of calories to maintain that body mass.
Yeah,
you would think, wouldn't you?
absolutely. Yeah.
Look at me. I like my puddings and cakes, so
Same here, yeah.
Right, Rocky. So Steve, did you tell anyone after, or were you concerned what people thought? Maybe a PO. What?
Yeah.
I think we've established that one anyway. Go on,
Absolutely.
Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. I told absolutely nobody. I was living at my mum and dad's at the time, and I just went kind of like straight home and straight to bed. But it was one of those nights where you don't drift off to sleep straight away. It was, you think, is someone kind of like taking the mickey? Is someone kind of like dressed up or whatever?
And once you'd decided you were going to and you thought to yourself, I'm comfortable in my own skin. Why should I know what I saw. Once you decided you were going to talk about this, how did it feel then? Was it like a weight lifted?
Not particularly.
No.
I was hoping more that it was people who had experienced like a similar or the same thing that I had. They would hopefully come forward, yourselves or other people who want to tell their stories, because obviously at the time, being a young lad, you think, bloody hell, my mates are going to think I'm bloody waffy or something like that, or I've gone loopy. But then kind of like life takes over.
Yeah.
I mean, I met my wife literally a month after I had that experience. And like I say, it took me 28 years to actually say to her, look, I've seen something that to this day I cannot explain.
Yeah, and presumably you had to drive that road. I know you'd not stopped and walked it, but you'd had to drive that road again, maybe even at night. How did it make you feel?
I never drove it in the night.
Oh, didn't you?
No,
Right.
never,
Okay.
never.
No.
I've been past obviously in a daytime, and there was a little bit of intrepidation there driving, but then you've
Yeah.
got the safety of the van or the car, and that was fine. But I actually went back literally 2.5 months ago with Danny Robbins from the BBC, who
Well, tell
does
us
the
about it. How did it go?
who did the Uncanny. Yeah, it went really, really well. I mean, he got in touch with me about the story as he was doing research for the new Uncanny tour, and I spoke to him like I am doing today, and just told him, look, I've seen this, and I don't know what it is. And other people in the area have seen something very, very similar. And he said he wanted to know more, and he came out with us about 2.5 months ago, and we did a recce in the area, and we sat in the exact place, 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night, pitch black, and I was absolutely bloody terrified.
Yeah. How did he feel?
He said exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah.
He said, he just says, bloody hell, Steve. He says it's really a strange kind of like feeling as regards the atmosphere in that area.
Mm.
I mean, obviously he's got a show to do, and he's got to want me to, say, oh, I've seen this and seen that. I've told him exactly the same as what I've told you and what I've told other people. I'm not going to big it up.
No. Well,
for
you
anybody.
didn't when we spoke to you. But for my thoughts on that, why he probably had an edge on the atmosphere that night is because you realise the person who you're talking to is telling the truth, and so it adds flavour because you know that whatever it was is potentially still around or in area. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But there's no hint that anybody's ever been hurt, is there? There's nothing.
No, not at all. Not that we know of. Absolutely not. No, but when we went back there, it's like I said at the beginning of this chat. I still think it's been used as a thoroughfare because since I had my experience, there's a potato factory there. And who's to say, looking outside the box, is this thing eating potatoes? I don't know. It's one of those things.
Got to be eating summit. We've got a question here, Steve, from Terence. Question for Paul and Steve: what's going on in the deep forests and the missing 411, like cryptid, paranormal related? Thanks, mates. Well, I to be honest, Terence, I've looked at the missing 411. I think Steve might know what that's about as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's impossible to say that anything's responsible for it. There's some strange occurrences and people are going missing, but to try and link it to cryptids would be wrong without a little bit more proof, and I don't think we could.
But why are people seeing, hopefully genuine people, seeing these things in this country? We know that the Americans, they always go bigger. It has to be bigger and better. But these things, there's so many people, not just in in the Yorkshire area. There's people up in Scotland and Wales that have seen something quite similar.
Literally, and not just like this country, all over the world, people are seeing these things. And you're right. I mean, mentioning what Terence has just sort of touched on with the missing 411 and in America, but it's everywhere. People are reporting. Forget about the missing people, not literally, but the actual cryptid, the actual things that people have seen, such as yourself. It's everywhere, isn't it? It's not just in Yorkshire. It's not just in certain parts of UK. Do you know, I were great friends with a guy who passed, well, we were best friends, to be honest, Robbie Shankland a few years ago, and he were up in Scotland and he'd been researching these things and he was convinced they were there, Steve, and he probably got as much evidence as anybody I know. So it's everywhere. And like you've said, you go into archives and libraries and different sort of references, and you can see that these things have been reported throughout time.
Yeah, there's genuine people. I mean, who am I? I'm nobody.
You,
But
well,
this,
you
this,
know you are. You're same as rest of us. We're all looking for answers, and your story and what you've got to say is just as important as anything I've got to say.
but there's people that are kind of like doctors and army and stuff like that who have seen, well, even the army people that have been camping have seen something similar to what I have.
Yeah. I got a report which I'll have to write up and contact the person who sent it me. Well, I have done, but I'll do more contact. A former military guy, and they'd been sent to Dartmoor on duty. I'll not go into great detail about it. They never saw anything. They felt that they were being watched for literally for days and days. So much so that they fired all the flares off. They made spears.
Wow.
They were so frightened that surround themselves. I'll go into more detail about that one because it's interesting. It's when I've actually sort of filled all little blanks in myself because it's such an interesting story because whatever it was that was watching them, it were impressing something on them, like a group of soldiers, seasoned soldiers, been to Afghanistan, they're not sort of green as grass and first time out in the darkness sort of thing. So there's something out there, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's just do this one then. Paul Barrett. Hi, Paul, Steve. Cryptid encounters seem to be on the you okay, mate?
Yeah.
Do you think there is any connection to
chair's gone.
all right. Do you think there's any connection to ley lines that may contain portal animal kills sometimes get reported, but not people?
Absolutely.
You think there's a connection to ley lines?
Yeah, he's absolutely bang on. Yeah, I believe that.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that whatever I saw could have been following the ley lines because the ley line is straight across where I had my experience.
And obviously you've looked at this. Do you know where it runs to, or
it runs from? It literally runs from the back end of Lincoln through the A15 through the forests to Hillstow, Scorby, Brig, then out to Grimsby.
Right. Okay. That's brilliant. Thank you. Let's just have a look. Don't want to put same question up because I'm good at doing that, Right. Let's have a look. Steve, do you think this creature is transient? We've done this one, Steve, but it's worth going again. Not there in flesh. Has there been any historical reports in the area?
There's been quite a few reports. Historical ones, the only ones that I've found have been from the past kind of like 10 years. I haven't gone back to like the 80s. I've not found anything like that. But as regards portals and stuff like that, like I say, people have got their own opinions, and I completely respect that. But what I saw wasn't translucent or anything like that. It was a solid mass. But I think over the next couple of weeks, I've got a bit of time off, so I think it's worth actually having a look at people's experiences if there are any a little bit deeper from kind of like the 60s onwards in the area.
Yeah, well, it's an aid what you're looking into, an aid what you've experienced. This isn't in capitals, but it might just aid us a little bit. Let's have a look. Richard says the A15 between Lincoln and Scorby, North Canby Corner, does indeed follow a line of an old Roman road, specifically Ermine Street. So you may know that, but
brilliant. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally just off the A15 as well. There's the old. I can't remember the name. I've actually been there. There's an old medieval village, quite literally just off the A15 near Curtin. And apparently, the stories are, obviously, when it was the plague, there's like a big mound on this village, this medieval village. I'll have to go back and when I've actually, somebody might be able to Google it now. There's a medieval village at Curtin Lindsay near Scunthorpe, and there's a big mound in the middle of this medieval village, and apparently there's hundreds of bodies buried under there from the plague.
Wow.
It's obviously completely different to what I saw, but it's just something that's kind of like interesting, especially on
there, and literally a burial mound, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can touch on this a bit if you want to know. You did already. Can you describe the face, eyes, nose, mouth? Did it look animal-like?
It looked as, you know, these people who draw kind of like cavemen. It was more, I wouldn't say animalistic, but more kind of like a cross between us and like a Neanderthal, as it was. The mouth just seemed to, especially the chin and the mouth, it just seemed to be a lot lower than what a normal like male human
Yeah.
would be. You know, I was gathering it was a male, but I couldn't see any ears. The nose wasn't kind of like a nose like I've got. It was more kind of like stubby, but it was more raised up. So there was a gap between obviously the base of the nose and the top of the lip.
Mm.
But like I say, the face as it was in my as I went past it in the car, and the mirror as it was in my brake lights, it was like a silver sheen to
Yeah.
the face, where
Does that imply that the skin were maybe grey coloured, do you think?
quite possibly,
Yeah.
because I mean, when people are in your tail lights, whether you're in the supermarket on a night time and you've got your lights on, the face doesn't really show up.
No.
You know, it's maybe worth actually doing a bit of a test. You know, in kind of the same conditions that I experienced on the night, but the face stood out as a sheen to the face.
That's interesting. Have you ever thought about trying to draw it? Because you're giving us a description,
Yeah,
but I think a Steve Dinsdale sketch of this would aid not just us, but
yeah,
anybody, you know, or maybe get somebody who's, I don't know how good you are at art. So yeah, a
not
little
very
bit.
good, not very good. But I mean, I would love to actually have a go at sketching it. Absolutely, yeah.
Because even if it's just the outline, it just gives us an idea, doesn't it? Because you know, you've seen something. I mean, I've never seen out like that. You've seen something. What we got in 300, nearly 400 people in chat. And thanks for the support, guys. Really appreciate it. And I don't know if we're going to get to your questions, but the point is, Steve's sharing something here that probably 300, nearly 400 people, probably 375 people have never even remotely seen anything similar. Some of you might have seen cryptid type animals, but so it's brilliant to get this story. It's not all UFOs. It's not all about portals and everything else. That, I mean, this is sort of a visceral story from a really down to earth guy who's given his from the art experience, and I really appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody in chat does. So let's just take this one. I'm going to lose these. We've done eyes, mouth. Sorry about this, Steve.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Steve, had you seen anything before this encounter?
No, not at all. Nothing at all.
No.
It's not a thing.
So I suppose the next question, Darwin, which we'd put a line under it and start again. You seen anything after that encounter?
I had kind of like what I would say is something that I can't explain again in Scorby Cemetery that we went to. You know, when we met up last year, but this was more audio than actual visual. It was August 2019, and there's a road from Scorby down to Brig, and there's Scorby Cemetery. And as I was heading down past the cemetery, I thought something. It was like 7:30 in the morning. I used to work back then in farming, so we kind of like got very, very little time off, especially in the summer. And it was bank holiday weekend. It was the Monday, and as I was coming down into the cemetery, I saw something that I thought was like a shadow. And going back to the question a while ago about the dog man, what this was more like a dog man rather than what I saw back in 1994.
Yeah.
And I headed down and saw this black thing, shape, shadow.
Did you say it was tall? I seem to remember.
I'd say it was about 8 or 9 foot.
Yeah, I remember you saying, yeah.
And as I was heading down, it went to the shed that's in the graveyard in the cemetery that we actually had a look at. And bloody hell. You know, what was that? And like I say, it was 7:30, and it was really, really warm again.
And it wouldn't be dark.
It was no, it was actually bright sunshine.
Mm.
And I stopped, I know, and got out of the car. But I left the door open, and I always remember that because I'm like, what the hell's that? Left the door open, walked to the front of the bonnet of the car, put my hand on the bonnet, and usually at 7:30 on a morning in the summer, you'd expect the birds to be chirping or a lot of noise. Complete silence. It was like someone had put, like noise cancelling earphones on. And right, okay, so this whatever I've seen, if I have seen it, is it behind the shed? So if I have seen it, it's going to move from behind the shed down into the cemetery. It didn't, so I waited there about 30 or 40 seconds, got back in my car, and went straight to work. And I couldn't see anything behind me. So I'm not sure about that one.
When you'd seen that, were you thinking 1994 after you'd seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, bloody hell, not again.
Yeah.
But I don't know what this was, but there's a lot of people. I think there's a YouTube channel. I think they're called the Brothers Grimm or the Grimm Brothers.
Okay.
They've been to Scorby Cemetery quite a few times, and they've had, whether it's genuine, things happen as well. But like I say, I'm not sure about that one. But if what I saw on that day was real, it was more, as we go back to, like a dog man.
Yeah.
A tall, I would even say spiky, kind of like shadow.
Yeah. Honestly, that it don't. When you say spiky, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you say almost iron filing like on a magnet?
Yeah.
Spiky.
Yeah, quite similar to that, like spiky, like shadow or a spiky fur.
Do you know it's craziest things that obviously we talk about on this channel? I'm on about myself here, not you, and other channels that I listen to, and this house that I live in, or we live in, when girls were at home, you probably do it at home, but it's a great big old, it was a 6-bedroom Victorian house. I've converted it now, but when girls were at home, you could just go into hallway and I'd just walk up in dark. And I got to middle floor because there were about 5 sets of staircases going round and round. I got to middle floor and one of the girls came downstairs from hallway and flicked the light on. And geez, whether people believe you or they don't, I'm not bothered. I caught something in the darkness. It were there. It were about 3 foot tall, and it just sort of froze, and it just looked like iron filings. It was shape. It looked like a teddy bear. I've got to say this. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? And I realised that I'd love to say it were something else, but that's what it looked like. And it were almost like it's frozen, like shock that it had been seen. I don't know who put light on downstairs, but from downstairs and lit it up, and it just froze for a split second, and then it were gone. But I know I saw it. Whether what it were, I don't know, and that's why I said, because it just reminded me of iron filings when you see them on a magnet. But I don't know.
But like I say, the 94 one was 12 to 15 seconds that 100% I saw. I'll take that to the grave. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I thought I saw or what I did see in the cemetery, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I saw, if I saw anything at all.
That's
but
fair,
it just seemed like a very tall, spiky shadow.
Yeah. I remember walking around with you, and you described it, and it's brilliant and so interesting for me. Even hearing it all again, did you feel any mental connection with both accounts?
The first one, no, because it was something that kind of like hit me straight away. I'd had a really, really good night doing the disco, and we'd have a full dance floor all night, and we were. It's always nice when you've had a good night being a DJ. You've done your job right. And I was kind of like still riding the wave as it was as I left left the club, but I didn't feel any kind of contact or any kind of like two-way thing.
No connection. No.
Not at all. But in 2019, the thing that struck me was when I got out of the car was, when you take off in an airplane and your ears go funny, you kind of like describe it as that.
So there were
It was more audio because it was really, really quiet. There was no sound at all apart from my car. There was like noise cancelling earphones on. Yeah.
It's fascinating, honestly. Let's have a look. Scotch Mist. Would there be enough food sources, water in the air to sustain a creature of that size? It's hard to say, Scotch, because Steve's seen something, and not just Steve, a host of other people see things. So if they're here, my thoughts, guys. I mean, I don't mean I disagree with Steve, but I just don't think there's enough food to sustain them. But I do think that they're real. I think that what he's seeing is very real. I just think that they're coming from somewhere else. I think there's a paranormal aspect to them. But what do I know? I'm not forced to be right. But I get where Scotch is coming from. But then when you look at herbivores, you look at cattle, and there's enough food to sustain a great bulking mass of a cow. We're not saying that this thing ate grass, but who can say? There's not a lot of calories in grass, and look at the size of a beast.
Well, Hibblestow's got a chippy, but I don't think it goes there.
No. Love fish and chips. So,
absolutely.
Let's
but
see.
No, it's like we said earlier on. I mean, I am in the same kind of like mindset as what you are. Where would it get the sustenance from?
Well, if you can, you're looking at something. You said between 6.5 and 7 foot tall, massively broad. You're probably looking at something that weighs in between 300 and 400 pounds, aren't you?
Yeah.
And if the average man consumes 2,500, 3,000 calories per day, 3,500 calories represents 1 pound of body weight. There's a bit of a lesson for you people. So it's a lot of calories it needs.
Looking on the outside as well, I mean, surely if something like that was taking farm animals, there'd be more reports of farm animals or animals in general going missing.
Yeah, absolutely. But you look at I'm sort of going in favor of what you're saying now. Let's play with the idea that it's genuinely living and feeding and sustaining itself under the radar on the land. You look at something like a gorilla. I think they're herbivores, aren't they? They're vegetarian, aren't they? I don't think they're not carnivorous, are they? We know they've got canine teeth. And they all just seem to be eating leaves when I've watched them. I don't watch them,
yeah.
But So anyway, let's just have a look. Terence says, what do you make of these cryptid paranormal UFO encounters showing up on camera but can't see them with the naked eyes, gents? I don't know. I really don't know, Terence. There's lots of things that obviously that people get pictures of and get a bit of footage of, but we don't get anything concrete, do we? There's nowhere to place a camera in that area, is there, Steve? Not really.
Not really. I mean, there's a few signposts, and probably if you put a camera there, somebody would nick it. But yeah, I mean, when it dropped into the undergrowth, there's maybe you can maybe put a trail cam or somewhere in there. That might be sustainable. Or even when I saw what I saw to the left hand side, where the new kind of like potato place is.
Yeah.
There might be a place there. But as regards kind of like being portals and translucent, I've watched Expedition Bigfoot, and we know it's all for kind of like entertainment. But if it is what they're filming is real, then there has been a few times where they've kind of like seen something and they've seen lights and it's disappeared. So, although I 100% know what I saw, I respect anybody's kind of like outlook on it could be something to do with the paranormal, because we can't be the only ones.
Remain open, Steve, haven't we? We've got to remain open, and
absolutely.
Do you know? I know. I think Lynn is in, and I think Pete's in as well. But Pete, I hope you're feeling better, mate. Good to see you. Hopefully tomorrow. But up on the cliff tops, we've definitely filmed with thermal camera, or not so much filmed because we didn't realise that there were anything unusual. But I think it's on 3 occasions we've looked through thermal camera and said there's 2 people coming down path. And we watch them, and then one of them disappears, and we'll say Jeremy's arrived and said, you're on your own. There were nobody with me. A guy came other week. We talked about it or I did on live stream only last week. We could see 2 in thermal, but the only one arrived, which is a bit unsettling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't look like they're cryptids. They actually look like men, like or men or women, just somebody walking. But you see 2 people, and that's happened on a few occasions. So that's odd. And then
absolutely.
Reports from the fishermen, the young fishermen at Hornsey, who were fishing, and I've told this story a few times, but he stood up to relieve his sort of uncomfortableness of his legs. It were a raging storm, and there's a figure walking up beach that just pixelated out of existence. Oh, that's what he said it did anyway. So I don't know. It's fascinating. So I've got a question here we've covered, but we'll just elaborate on this. So from Dragonborn, have you had any unusual encounters prior or since? We know that you haven't, because you've given us that answer.
Yeah.
My question to you would be, and from Dragonborn as well, because I know she'll have thought of this. If you got a chance to see it again, would you?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Under different conditions, probably, or
I think things are different now. I mean, 1994, I was 24. And I was a young lad, and now I'm 55. So
I won't laugh. I'm 63. I was 63 last week. It's frightening.
A lot of time has passed, and things are different now. But would I have seen the same thing if I had a phone with me? Because nowadays, literally, the next to you on a car seat, are they? Or in a phone holder.
But that's implying you believe there's a knowing from it, then, that it potentially don't want to be seen because you might get a photograph of it.
I don't know whether I would say that, but I think I know that I disturbed it.
Mm.
The way it moved. I mean, for something as big as that was, to actually just detect. I mean, you've seen the road. It's not the smallest road. It's a main road between the 2 villages. To move across the road and drop down in 2 steps.
Yeah.
It was on a mission to do something.
In a way, then you can probably, I can now understand, and I've just put it like that again. The thud, if it's moving and it's getting out of the way. And, what kind of car were you driving?
It was a Nova.
A Nova. So I don't promote the idea of running anything over, by the way, but I'm just thinking to myself, if you'd have hit it with a car, it'd have probably ran off with car under its arm.
Yeah, especially a Nova. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean? Right. So we've got off license. Did you smell anything?
No, nothing at all.
Okay.
But that is, when I look back, it's a question that I've kind of like asked myself a few times: is did I or would I have smelt something? And no, it was just a muggy night, And I think there was probably the only smell that I could smell was probably cigarettes, and that's about it really from the club.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. So, and these are all questions I'm sure you've thought. Was it solid? Solid, no fading. It
absolutely solid.
Absolutely,
yeah, 100%.
And Jojo, thank you, appreciate that. We've got a question. Are you still okay for a few questions?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Mark Spark. Hey, Steve. Have you researched Bigfoot encounters and found any similarities? The face description fits most encounters.
Not kind of like as per se. I think a lot of, whether you agree or not, Paul, is a lot of the sightings that are on kind of like YouTube and stuff like that. It's all kind of like the Americans bigging it up. Oh, I've seen this and it was 8 or 9 foot tall. But from what I have seen, I've got a kind of like obsession at the minute for these videos where people go camping, and kind of the experience things during the night.
Mm.
And there's a couple of decent ones that are on YouTube that seem. I mean, we've all got to take things with a pinch of salt because obviously there's going to be people who are watching this thinking talking rubbish, which absolutely fair enough. But there's a guy on there. I watched his video again last night who set up his bivvy tent, and he thought there was something walking around his tent during the night. And when he looked the next day at his footage, he left a trail cam out, and at like 4:30 in the morning, there's a big, looks like a hairy creature walking between the trees. If I can find the link, if I'm okay to send you the link, I mean the drawing as well. I would love to like sketch it and send it to you just to put it out there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and like we said, if you could sketch that what you saw, that I mean, that would be interesting. Obviously, have you ever thought about doing that before?
I've thought about doing it, but I'm not a very good drawer. To be fair, I mean it's years since I've kind of like even attempted to draw. But I mean, if there's anybody listening, that can draw, that could help me,
well, I'll have a go at it for you.
Then I would actually love to, describe it.
I'll have a go at that for you. Unless anybody wants to take over the job, I've got loads to do, but I will have a go at that for you. I'll tell you who's absolutely incredible at drawing Bigfoot and cryptids, and that's Studio. I can't think what it is. It's Andy anyway. Studio 244, I think, or 211. But he's done some incredible pictures, and if he watches this, he'll probably give me a call tomorrow and say, I ain't got time, or I'll have a go at that. So
brilliant. Yeah, please. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Stephen Collin, they have accounts of feral people in the Appalachians. Why not over here? Once again, Steve, I just think to myself, where would they be? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not one that's gone kind of like into the country, on a mission to find these or anything like that. But there's plenty of wooded areas in every country.
It's just sustaining yourself, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything's nailed down. I mean, and everything's got boundaries. Whereas probably, I don't know, a couple of 100 years ago, we know that there'd have been the same landmass, but people would have been able to roam more freely, perhaps, and you would have been able to come into contact with game and whatever. But now, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my backside. Maybe there are feral people living off the land and surviving. I really don't know. I know the guy in Danes Dyke. He weren't feral. He were a good friend, and he lived in Danes Dyke for 13 years in a tent. And
I mean, what I saw was a mass bulk. Especially the shoulders and the chest area. So, it wasn't a ghillie suit. I've looked at those, and a ghillie suit wouldn't have given me the definition of the face.
No, absolutely. So let's have a look here. We've got another question here. Do you suppose these things, light beings, items, can appear to materialize into our world or disappear at will? Thank you. I don't know, Terence. I think jury's out there. None of us know, I don't think. We know that there will be people who know, but if they know, then we'd all be listening to them if they were right, wouldn't we? And we wouldn't have a room for channels like this where we're all just kicking ideas about and going through dissecting Steve's account and just sort of throwing things at Steve and wondering if anything sticks. And at end of the day, it's an experience that's personal to Steve, and I respect what you're asking there, Terence. But my answer is I don't know.
I mean, I never saw anything else with it. It was just a man or a creature, or like say a feral person, a woodman, whatever you like to call it. But if it was somebody picking something off the road, I wouldn't have thought anything about it. I mean, look at that bloody idiot picking them off the road at bloody midnight. But for it to be where it was, with the bulk that it had, to move the way that it did, it was going back to like the American Bigfoot, it was a fluid motion. I think when, as we were saying before we did this chat, everything bloody aches nowadays. I'm pleased if I wake up and I ache, I know I'm not dead. In the morning. But this thing, as it picked it up, it was up and it was gone. It was gone in a fluid motion. That there was no kind of like jerking of the arms or something. It was just all kind of like one motion.
We know we're talking 10 to 15 seconds, so this might be a daft question, but did you get a sense of age?
No, not at all.
Okay. Right, the bloke I was just talking about, and he's not forced to be able to do your drawing, is here. But he's not saying anything about the drawing. This question's just come up, so it's Studio 211. You say you saw it exhale breath from it, yet it was a warm night. Was there a noticeable temperature change? Good question, that.
Good point. I didn't notice anything as regards temperature change, but my lights that was on, obviously, in the car, the high beams, I could see the breath as it kind of like stood up and exhaled, and the dust particles as well coming off the hair or the fur.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't notice the temperature change, but, I've been out this summer, with the dogs, early in the morning or late at night, and I've gone like that, and you can see your breath, but I didn't notice any kind of like temperature change at all.
No. Well, David Waddington's asking about a sketch. We've done that, David, but I didn't want you to think I was just ignoring you, mate. And Terence Wills just wanted to say thanks for all the hard work, Paul. Oh, thank you. I thought, appreciate that, Terence. Yeah, and we do what we can, but we help people like Steve, and we've got Alison, we've got Lee doing moderating, and everybody that's sort of in here tonight. We're going on close to 400 people. It's your live stream, and I love this where people are hitting Steve with questions, not literally, but we'll just go down a few, Steve, if you're all right for 5 minutes. Right, here's one, but probably no answer to this because you'd have said. But Lisa says, did you have any strange dreams about it?
You know what I have?
Wow, well done, Lisa, because I never thought to ask that.
I've had one, and one only, and it was. It's a bit of a tough one because coming up 3 years ago, this month I lost my dad, and literally about 2 weeks after I lost my dad, I had a dream, and I was at a friend's house, and I was a kid, and we was in his kitchen as it was probably like in the 80s, and all I can remember is I was in this kitchen, and there was like a patio area, and his name was Owen, and he had a hedge that went into his garden, and this thing that I saw in 1994 was in these bushes, and it was shaking the bushes, and it looked more like a monkey, like a gorilla. But
you felt it with that in your dream. Yes. You felt it with that.
Yeah, and it was shaking, but it was like I'd regressed back to being like a young kid, and I was at my friend's house, and this thing. That's a brilliant question. That really got me. And yeah, this gorilla thing is literally shaking the hedge and the bushes.
Yeah, because I don't think we pulled that out of you when we spoke to you. And
no, I would have never even thought of that.
Yeah, it's a good question, that, Lisa. And do you think how old were you then when you actually had that dream ish?
It was only 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Only 22.
So do you think there's obviously significance, else you wouldn't have dreamt it, but do you think it's just because of the emotional state you were in and the fact that what you saw in 1994 was such a strong memory that stayed with you? And do you think there were more to it?
I don't know. I mean, I obviously never told my dad about it.
Right. Okay.
He had passed before I even spoke about it. But it was only literally after my dad had passed that I began to actually talk about it. And subconsciously, the dream could have like given me the nudge really to actually start talking about it.
Wow, that's
'Cause
interesting.
because I mean, Lisa, that's brilliant. I really appreciate that. That's good.
We've discovered something that you've not really thought about?
Not
Which
really, no, because obviously my dad passed on November the 15th, and this was like kind of like the lead up to Christmas that I had the dream,
Mm.
and I'd just seen um, a Facebook page where people were reporting seeing like wild people and cryptids in the UK, and that's the Facebook page that I messaged and said it's about time that I told my story.
Right, brilliant, excellent.
I appreciate that. That's brilliant. No, really.
Mel Filter, yeah, thank you, Lisa. Have you ever watched the movie called Dog Soldiers? They were fighting Dogman stroke werewolf. Did it look like one of these? No, I
No.
think we've done that, Mel. No.
No, but I would say that what was in the cemetery does resemble something very, very similar to what's in that film.
Yep. Yeah, that was brilliant. Let's just scroll down a little bit, and if you've not put your question in capitals, it's not going to get asked simply because I'll miss it, guys. I'm not being awkward. So, Chrissy Phillips and Chrissy, I'm sure it's you. I've got a sighting to follow up here. Fascinating account, Steve. Thank you for sharing. Did it have a tail?
No, not that I saw.
Okay.
No, it was fur and hair down, from the head down to the back. I'm gathering, obviously, because the amount of hair or fur that it was on it was obviously it was completely naked as it was, but I didn't see any kind of like tail or anything like that. It just basically looked like a big hairy gorilla stroke human.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I'll just echo what Lee's just saying. If you've not pressed the like and subscribe, it's totally free. Consider doing it. Just gives us a little bit of support. And I say every week, Truth Proof Books, truthproof.uk. If you want to buy the paperbacks, if you want to get the digital versions, Amazon Kindle, they're on there. If you want to look at Wolflands, truthproof.uk or Amazon Prime. That's my little bit done, and we'll just see if there's a few more questions, providing we're not holding you.
No, it's absolutely fine. No, it's a pleasure. It's fine.
Brilliant. I've really enjoyed it, and I've not had to do anything because it's been led by our brilliant listeners here and yourself. What was your mindset before this encounter? Did you have any interest in this sort of thing? Dave Barker asks.
No, not at all. No, I mean, obviously being at school and you get the the horror books and stuff like that, and I think there was like back in my day there was the $6 Million Man that had the Bigfoot episode. That's all I knew of any kind of like creature. But no, absolutely no interest at all. No, I was 24 at the time, and just having a good life and a good time. At the time, being a DJ, it was great going to different venues every night. But looking back, you just wonder why it was me at that precise time, because it could have been somebody else. A minute earlier or a minute later, it could have been somebody else.
And what's fascinating, though, Steve, is that wouldn't it be amazing if somebody contacts me and says, can I get in touch with Steve? Which obviously I'd just put you straight in touch. But it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it, if somebody else said, "Look, I've seen this.
Absolutely.
I want to talk." It don't make your story any more true or any less true, but it just adds more meat to the bone for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've only told you genuinely what I've seen.
Yeah, I realise that.
As we know that when you and Les went to the actual location, it's a very, very strange location. It's got a certain atmosphere about it.
Absolutely, yeah, it has. Yeah. But there's a question here from Dragonborn. I think we've done it anyway. Did you believe in any of this before your encounter? I know we've done that.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I was into the only thing I was into my horror films. Yeah, still am. But as regards cryptids and stuff like that, no, absolutely nothing.
interesting that you'd like to see it again. And I mean, I don't mean I wouldn't. I think I'd be in the same, standing in the same shoes as you. Yeah, I'd like to see it again. The things that happened to me in childhood, which terrified me, as an adult now, I don't mean I want them experiences again, but I'd like to see what I saw.
Yeah, absolutely, I would. Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it's still vivid. Now, I mean, we said when we was talking earlier on, you know, you said to me, Steve, you've kind of like, you're still holding on to this, and Danny Robbins said exactly the same.
Yeah.
I mean, when I sat with him, I mean, there was me, Danny, and a film crew with the BBC, and I was absolutely bloody terrified. You know,
in the night, sat there.
Yeah.
We
was in the exact place, and Danny said to me, he said, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Are you all right?" He said, "I'm shitting myself." That's what he said.
And why? You know, it's only right that you would hold on to it, because you've had it's quite profound what you've seen. So I don't see why you know. I think that's fair. Just before we take one more question, I noticed right at the beginning, and it related to me. I told people in a live stream, I think I did the other week, when we'd come home from the cliffs, I saw, there's my wife sat on the sofa, there's a little dog outside of her, and I thought she'd got a blue light in her hand. Tiny blue light about the size of a postage stamp. And I said, "What you got?" And she said, "Nothing." And I said, "Just open your hand." And there was nothing there. But I saw a blue light. Then I saw it on dog. Then I saw it another time. All within a few minutes. And I've seen it one more time since. And then I saw it on Linny's elbow. Because I noticed Linny put in chat, any more blue lights being seen. And when we were out other night, I saw it on Linny's elbow. In fact, you see this blue from this microphone here, it's a similar blue to that. I'll not turn it, else it'll probably drop off, but similar blue to that. And Jack said, "Well, could it be cataracts or anything like that?" Because I'm definitely seeing it. And I didn't think at time, but I've just got new glasses. I ain't even got them on. I've got these other ones on, but I've just got new glasses only about 2 weeks ago. Got to go pick 2 pair from Specsavers. I've got to go and get other pair yet. So I think that I picked up cataracts. So I don't know. So you answer your question, Linny. Apart from seeing it on your elbow when we were out, I've not seen it since. Blue light, odd. Right. So, and here's one for Gemma. Jojo says, "Send your regards to Gemma. Hope she makes a speedy recovery." Me too. I'll not go into details, but she's just been sort of suffering with a throat complaint, and as I say, I'm going to be ringing her straight after this, or ringing a partner straight after this to see how she's doing. There's nothing I can do. She's miles away from me, so I can't really go and sit with her. And I'll tell Laura as well. Let's go see what we've got here, Steve. Just bear with me, and you tell me when you want to wind this down, because we might have nearly out of questions anyway, mate. And a lot of them are similar. Let's have a look. Paul, where did your wolf mask go? I don't think. Do you mean right? So, Marty, do you mean the wolf mask for Wolflands? If you did all that, we made a costume, Steve, when we did Wolf. Well, Mary made a costume when we did Wolflands, and we got Chris Wright dressed in costume. You know, just it's silhouetted. I mean, it would have looked like something from Rainbow. It'd look like Bungle or something if you'd seen it in daylight. But during the night in silhouette, it were okay. Or did you mean this? I bought this. And it's an old pantomime. It's not a wolf mask. And isn't that weird? I went around a car boot sale, and God knows, my wife just shook her head. She says, "What?" And it's old. I mean, I wouldn't dare put it on my head. I mean, but it's, you know, Babes in the Wood or something like that. I don't know if that's what you're on about. I don't think you are. But I don't know. These hands are what my grandson got me for my birthday, or the head. So, right, let's just jump from that. Where did your wolf mask go? We'll see if there's a question for Steve, because it's Steve's live stream, not mine. Let me do this. Let's... what's this? Mr. X, use Chat GPT or render some... describe it and see if Chat GPT can do you an image of what you're describing. That's a good idea.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I will do that tonight. Yeah, that's a great idea.
It really is, isn't it? Because it takes hard work out of it for you, and you can sort of I don't know, you could probably have 4 or 5 goes at it and then have another go tomorrow, couldn't you? Until you'd got what you wanted.
Yeah, I'd still like you to have a go.
I don't mind.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
I don't mind. Do you know, I painted when we were doing Wolflands. I started to paint what the lads in Broxer saw, or the description of it, and it's in Bottom Garden in Summer Room, and it's nearly 6 foot tall. It's on a huge canvas, on a canvas like 5 foot wide by 7 foot, and I've painted it all. And I've not touched it in years. It needs finishing, but yeah, I started that. And I don't know, Christ, nobody's going to want it. What the hell have I painted it for? It's nuts. Who wants that on the wall? Right, we're overrun with deer. Farmers have to organise culls for them to survive. We have too many. So I know where you're going there, Sue. Lots of food. Yeah, lots of food. So yeah. So makes a great point. And I'm not moving goalposts, but then I said, but where would they be? But then Steve says there's lots of tunnels, lots of, I don't know, underground workings that are no longer used for underground workings. But then my next question would be, and I sound like somebody who's putting you off it, where were they before tunnels? I don't, it's hard, isn't it? Alison says, thanks for joining us. I think we're running out of questions here, Steve.
No, it's fine. It's been good. It's been really nice.
I don't think we're meant. Linda says, I don't think we're meant to know the answers to everything. Some things have to remain a mystery. Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having streams like Truth Proof. And do you know something, Steve? We can wind it up on that note if you want, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I'm pleased that Lisa asked the question about the dream as well. That was well worth it.
It were, because, as I say, we never pulled that out of you when we spoke. And it doesn't sound like you thought about it when you spoke to Danny Robbins.
No,
so that's an element to it, isn't it?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question.
And what's going to happen, I would think, I mean, to some people, you might be thinking, well, he's only seen 15 seconds of this thing at most. But that will probably make your mind tick. You might be able to add a bit more to that. I don't mean like untruths. I just mean you might be able to just figure a bit more out after analysing your dream. And, it's fascinating. It really is. So, Steve, in future, if we did a panel and we got some people on talking about the cryptid, UFOs, I know it's not your thing, but UFOs, cryptid, and say, I don't know, say Christmas or whatever, and I got 6 or 7 people on, would you consider coming back?
Absolutely, yeah, certainly would, yeah. Because I mean, for me to talk about it, it makes it easier for me. Because I can tell people what I saw, and if they believe me, they believe me. If they don't, then I appreciate that if they don't. But that question from Lisa has made the night worth it for me.
Yeah, superb.
Because she kind of like cracked the egg, as it were. So yeah, I'd be quite happy to come back.
Yeah, I would love you to. And I've just one question, seeing as Lee's doing moderating for us. Just, it's only fair, and I've only just seen it, Lee. So apologies. Question, Steve, after the encounter, what did you first see? What reminded you of what you saw? I get where he's coming from. So what you saw, was there anything after it that you saw on TV or in a book that reminded you of it?
There is a drawing that somebody did of a wild man, which is on Google, and that was very similar to what I saw. And it was a wild man that had been seen, I think, in Scotland. Somebody had sketched it. It was a rough sketch, it wasn't anything professional like mine. Mine had, like I say, looking like Bungle from Rainbow. Yeah. But it was very, very similar in kind of like the size dimensions to what I'd seen.
Yep. Dare I ask another question here? Have you got time?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I've just seen it from 40. And Steve mentioned hearing the whoop. Was it a repeated whoop or single? Was the sound from the same direction as the figure went from, or from a different direction? Was it a distraction or maybe communicating?
That's a good one.
Another good one. That's why I thought we've got to ask it.
Yeah, no, it was a repeated. I heard it 3 times as it went away, and it was from the right hand side. But I never would have thought about communication.
No, but that's why he's right, isn't he? What it trying to communicate with you? What it a signal to you? Or we don't know, do we? But it's a good one, isn't it?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Keep saying last one. Tony Worrell. Does Steve know if there's any ancient sites nearby the sighting, burial mounds, etc.?
There's the medieval village near Hibblestow, at Curtin. I'm not sure about any kind of like medieval stuff. It's something that I think I promise you that I'll look into. And like I say, when I come back, I'll have a bit more meat on the bones as regards stuff in the area.
Brilliant. Do you know, Steve? Because there are more questions, so apologies, guys, that we haven't got to them. But we're going to leave it there because Steve's given us 30 minutes more than, or 25 minutes more than we kind of planned.
You can go well half past if you want for another 5 minutes. It's
yeah.
I mean,
have a go then.
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
Was the creature aware of your presence? I know we've gone over some of these, or was it going about its activity unaware? I think it were aware.
It was definitely aware, because I mean, I was probably, when I came over the brow of the hill where the flyover is, I was probably going at a good 30, 35, 40 mile an hour, and I saw it. I slowed down literally to chugging along at second gear, and as my headlights caught it, as soon as I kind of like looked, it was up and gone. So yeah, it was definitely on a mission to pick something up off the road. And
what do you think it picked up?
I think it was like roadkill.
Rabbit or something,
Rabbit. I mean, it was. I didn't see anything of mass in its hand.
No.
As it picked it up, his left-hand side was facing my car, and as he moved away, he turned obviously to the right and went to the right-hand side of my car. So what was in its hand?
Did you see a hand?
Not per se, no.
No.
It went obviously to the right-hand side and then dropped down. Obviously, I saw the arm.
Yeah,
probably down to probably actually past the elbow. To be fair, and like the strands at the base of the arm, but I can't remember anything about the hand. I'm sorry, no, I can't.
No, it's fine. So when you, we're going into it again, and we were going to close it down. So when you saw the arm, so we got the tricep. Did you see any muscle, or did it, you've got? So you could see same muscular shape as a man. Then could you see the tricep?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and the muscles on the back as well.
Really? What, like trapezius and everything? You could see all
absolutely everything.
So that's implying it's not thick fur, is it?
It was the fur was down the head, onto the shoulders and down the back. But you could still see definition as it moved.
Yeah. The flexing as it's moving.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't see anything major.
No,
but you could see movement like I'm doing now. You can see skin moving and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is. Right, here we go. Richard Mason, did you experience missing time? I think we'd have known if you did.
No, not at all. Not from what I can remember. I was back home for like 12:20. So.
Right. Well, quick fire this. You made eye contact? I don't think that did it?
No, it didn't. No, not as far as what I know. Obviously, it's clocked. Looked at the car and obviously saw the lights and shifted off.
And probably the best question at night here. Look, I have all the Truth Proof books. Excellent read, Paul. I would recommend. Thank you, Marty. No, cheers. Appreciate it. I'm going to order some more tomorrow, actually, some number 3s, because I'm running low. Let's have a quick look. Are there any local legends or place names from antiquity that refer to your sighting? It's interesting, place names to area. Have you got anything like that said,
No, it's something that I'm going to look into tomorrow.
That'd be fascinating if you
Yeah.
can. I don't mean you'll find something and make it fit, but like there's Hob Lane, we have like hobgoblins, and you think, why have they got that name? And Devil's Corner or Bend, it's interesting, isn't it?
It'd be nice to come back around about Christmas time, hopefully with some more info.
Yeah, it'd be great, and get if I can mix it up and get you on with somebody who's had not the same but something similar, and bounce some ideas, and I'm sure our listeners would love that, and I know I would. So,
well, I'd like to hear from people that kind of like don't believe as well, because you hear in my side of the story, other people have got other beliefs, and probably don't believe what I saw. They maybe think it's something else, and it could be. So I'd like to hear both sides.
And do you know, when I do these little films for YouTube, I'm quite happy to say, and if you don't believe what I'm talking about, I ain't got a problem with it, because what I'm trying to tell you, most people have never seen or experienced in their life, so it must be hard to get your head around it. Where I draw the line is when somebody's abusive or rude. If they're totally rude, then they've gone. But I could say, you could get people saying, Steve, to be honest, mate, unless I see it with my own eyes, I can't believe it. And you can accept that.
Absolutely fair enough. Yeah.
Steve, we'll end it there. I'll speak to you next week or so. And all I can say is, from myself, everybody in chat, Alison Lee, Laura, who's my other daughter, and everybody, thanks for support, guys. I see Karen Behrman's in, Brother Littlefoot. I can do it all again, can I? Mag Sue. So I'm going to end it there. Steve, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, my friend. Take care.
Oh, wow. Saw it twice, so I was like, oh my god.
That was just weird.
I always used to see a light coming up, like a headlight, but there was nobody there.
Oh.